Right now, the flood threat is coming to an end here in south central Wisconsin, and after a rainy start to the day, things are about to warm up. Hattie is tracking the heat and humidity. And 1 year later, this Thursday marks the anniversary of a workplace shooting in Middleton. How the company is now giving back to the first responders they credit for saving their lives.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's 6:30 in the morning on September 15th, Sunday. I'm Keely Arthur, in with meteorologist Hattie McLean. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I know we were just talking about it's kind of a late start for us. I know we usually hang out at 4 in the morning on weekdays, so it's nice to be here at 6:30.
That's true. I was pulling up some of the camera shots and I thought, so odd to be able to see stuff at the start of the show.
Yes.
So nice to be here this Sunday morning. I have good news as far as the rain is concerned. It is coming to an end. Take a look. We even have some clearing here in Madison. This is our sky camera looking to the east, so we might pick up a little of that sun early this morning. All the flash flood watches for southern Wisconsin have been canceled this morning, so no watches or warnings in effect for the area. Here's the latest picture on the radar map. Just a few light showers lingering for southern Wisconsin right now. The heavier rain has shifted well to our south into northern Illinois. Our temperatures today will climb back into the upper 70s. There is an outside chance for a few showers this afternoon. They should be pretty widely scattered though and light. It will turn more humid though as we go through the day. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps. 6:30 on Sunday morning, no major delays in any of the areas around the region. I did look around southern Wisconsin, no accidents to report. Going just a little bit slower though, eastbound Highway 12 between Sauk City and Middleton.
All right, and things looking pretty warm for a September month.
Yeah, you can hang on to those summer clothes for the week. Temperatures will be in the upper 70s and low 80s.
Good news to me. Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Hattie. All right, well, new this morning, the Trump administration expected to announce its proposal to curb gun violence as soon as this week. But after the Democrats' fiery debate on gun control, what the president will actually do is far from clear. Now, after a meeting with his top advisors, the president said he's working with both parties on a gun control proposal, but that something is still elusive. The White House has been talking to a trio of lawmakers, Democrats Chris Murphy and Joe Manchin, and Republican Pat Toomey. Now, they all support tougher background checks.
I took it about meaningful. Add that word, meaningful background check.
But the president never defined what meaningful means and quickly backed off after talking to the National Rifle Association. In the weeks since, he said the country already has very serious background checks, and he called mass shootings a mental health issue and criticized what he sees as overeager Democrats.
Democrats want to confiscate guns from law-abiding Americans, so they're totally defenseless when somebody walks into their house with a gun.
Now, going into next week, Democrats remain concerned that presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke's stance that all assault weapons should be taken away could be problematic in their push for gun reform. Political analysts say the president wants to be seen as taking some action on gun control because of the majority of Americans who support tougher laws, but they say his base is not as supportive, and the president doesn't want to anger them going into an election year. This weekend, President Trump confirmed Osama bin Laden's son is dead. He issued a statement saying Hamza bin Laden was killed in a U.S. counterterrorism operation. President Trump didn't specify exactly when or where, saying only it happened in the, quote, Afghanistan-Pakistan region. Some analysts are raising questions on the presumed death, pointing out Al-Qaeda has not released a eulogy on his death. Bin Laden was thought to be an emerging leader in that terror group. Well, more than 338,000 Ford Explorers are being recalled because the seats have sharp edges. Ford Motor Company says people could get hurt by reaching between the seat and center console. Now, 31 people have been injured so far. The recall applies to 2017 Ford Explorers made in Chicago between February 2016 and October of 2017. Anyone who owns one of these models is advised to take it to their dealer for repairs. And the clock is ticking for General Motors to reach a labor agreement with workers before they strike. Negotiators only have until midnight tonight to iron out a deal before a 4-year-old contract expires. Earlier this month, 96% of GM's workers voted to authorize a strike if a new contract isn't reached. The union wants automakers to share more of their profits with paid workers. One more local news now. This Thursday marks 1 year since a workplace shooting at Paradigm in Middleton, and now the software company is giving back to first responders. The company posted on Facebook saying they donated almost $19,000 to local firefighters for new equipment. They also donated $18,500 to EMS crews. Last September, an employee opened fire inside the Paradigm offices. First responders saved the lives of 3 people who were seriously injured. While Domestic Abuse Intervention Services, known as DAYS, is warning Madison residents about scammers outside of grocery stores. Officials say residents have reported individuals and pairs of people posing as abuse victims, asking for money to pay for counseling services. They've been spotted outside Willie Street Co-op, Festival Foods, and Woodman's. DAYS executive Shannon Berry says the nonprofit services are always free and confidential. A 6-week project to resurface County Highway M between Verona and Oregon starts tomorrow, with driving restricted to local traffic until late next month. The stretch between Fish Hatchery Road and County Highway MM in Oregon will close Monday, open only to local traffic. Now, through traffic needs to take alternative routes like Verona Road or the Beltline. Area businesses will still be open, so if you have to reach one, you should give yourself extra time and drive carefully. And because of the Willie Street Fair this weekend, there are several road closures you should know about. 3 blocks of Willie Street will be closed between South Livingston and South Ingersoll Streets. That goes until 10 o'clock Sunday night. The 300 blocks of South Patterson and South Brierley streets will also be closed at that time. Because of the parade today, more streets will be closed between 11 and noon, and you're taking a look at some of those stretches up on your screen right now. We'll also be putting this information up on our website, channel3000.com. Well, millions of Americans are expected to travel this fall, and taking advantage of a so-called shoulder season could mean flight and hotel savings. A new survey from TripAdvisor found out where people are flying to this season. Topping the list is Las Vegas, also making the top 5, Orlando, Florida, and Honolulu. New York got bumped from number 3 last year to number 5 this time around. And international travel is increasing this year as well, with London as the 3rd most popular. It didn't even make the list last year. Rome and Paris have rounded out the top 10. Well, it is game day for Packers fans. Very exciting. The team opens the Lambeau schedule at noon against the Vikings. They play 5 of their first 7 at home. Last year in week 2, poor kicking led to a tie in overtime. But this year, the Packers are coming into the game healthy and ready to play. You can catch the game on Fox, and then be sure to flip back over to News 3 Now for the highlights tonight at 10. Meanwhile, the Brewers are now just 1 game behind the Cubs in the race for the wild card after a big win last night. The team came out swinging in the 4th. Mike Moustakas hit a big one off Jack Flaherty, bringing Trent Grisham home with him to tie the game. Fast forward to the 8th, the Brewers are up 1, and Yasmani Grandal adds a little bit of breathing room, making it 5-2. That would be the final. First pitch is at 1:15 today. Well, the Badgers are on a bye week, but so far this fall, the team has been playing some pretty disciplined football. Through the first 2 games of the season, Wisconsin is 8th in the country when it comes to the fewest penalties, with just 5 of them. So that'll be part of the game plan when it comes to hosting Michigan in 6 days. The Wolverines also have a bye week this week, so they'll be plenty focused and ready too. The key, according to Jonathan Taylor, is to keep moving forward.
Really, it just shows that, we're going to build upon each game. Don't want to take any steps backward. We want to keep moving forward, and we know, these next couple games coming up and throughout the rest of the season, we're going to have to play clean football. When you get guys, that has talent across the board, like Big Ten play, they're going to have to play clean football. Who makes the less mistakes? Those are going to be the guys that come out with the win.
Kickoff next Saturday is at 11 o'clock. Time right now, though, is just about 6:40. Here is a live look outside. Hattie has your full first alert forecast just ahead.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Good news, even more of those flash flood watches have been canceled. The National Weather Service in Chicago canceling some of those counties right along the state line. The threat for heavy rain this morning is coming to an end, but overnight there was some pretty heavy rain, anywhere from 2 to 3.5 inches across parts of Grant County and far southwestern Lafayette County. Those are areas that were hit particularly hard earlier this week with heavy rain, so some flooding concerns overnight there. But again, the rain is coming to an end. You can see there was a pretty sharp cutoff with the northern edge of that rain overnight. Not a whole lot recorded here in Madison. And here's what's currently falling on the in the area. We have just a lone shower south of Janesville, but most of the region drying out this morning. If we take a wider view of what's happening across the upper Midwest, you will see some showers and thunderstorms continuing to roll pretty rapidly across northern Illinois. Again, they'll continue to weaken over the next couple of hours and move east. Not a whole lot happening to our west just yet, but we can't rule out a few showers as we head towards the afternoon. There are still quite a few clouds to the north. The Northwood socked in with clouds this morning. A little bit of clearing behind the rain early this morning, but I think we will have plenty of clouds heading into at least the first part of the afternoon. Take a look at temperatures this morning. 50s for the northern half of the state, 60s here in the south. It is going to get pretty humid today. Dew points right now are in the low to mid 60s for southern Wisconsin, and the trend throughout the day, probably not in the direction that you'd want to see. Slowly rising into the upper 60s later on this afternoon. So that means it's going to feel quite humid. Take a look at your future track forecast model. And again, quite a few clouds with a south wind as we head through the morning hours. Temperatures are going to get back into the 70s today. We're looking at highs in the upper 70s, but just a few widely scattered showers possible this afternoon. Skies will clear later on this afternoon, though. Temperatures dropping back into the 60s overnight. Even though skies clear out, I do expect some fog to develop towards tomorrow morning with all that moisture that we have in the region after the heavy rains this week. So plan on kind of a foggy start Monday morning. Very summer-like, though, as we head through the first part of next week. High temperatures. Well, I guess it's this week. We're at Sunday, right?
At Sunday, yeah, technically.
Well, it sneaks
You
up
can
on you.
still have the weekend mindset.
That's true. 80s on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with mainly dry weather.
All right, beautiful forecast.
It certainly is.
Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Well, the Federal Food and Drug Administration is assessing a new drug aimed at treating peanut allergies in children. It's called Palforzia, and it works by exposing kids to pharmaceutical-grade peanut protein. According to the Washington Post, the drug could pave the way for a new generation of therapies that reduce allergies by desensitizing patients. Research shows about 67% of children and teens treated with it were able to tolerate the equivalent of about 2 peanuts, but 20% discontinued the treatment, including 10% because of adverse effects.
That same low dose would then not trigger an allergic reaction, or at least would minimize the severity of an allergic reaction.
One problem with Palforzia is its high rate of side effects. 1 in 10 of the people taking it during a trial had to stop because it caused abdominal pain or vomiting and allergic reactions that required epinephrine to stop. The company that makes this treatment is also working on a therapy for people with egg allergies. Well, this is your reminder to head to the grocery store tomorrow for the chance to try a new cookie flavor and earn some cash. Nabisco is releasing limited edition Oreos that look like the original but taste completely different. The mystery flavor is under wraps until tomorrow when you can try it. Each package will have 3 clues. You have a chance to win $50,000 if you guess the correct flavor. Nabisco did this once before. The mystery flavor back in 2017 was Fruity Pebbles. Well, actor and comedian Nick Offerman is taking his show to Chicago tonight, but before his Friday night stop here in Madison, he made a special visit to the Aldo Leopold Nature Center. The center posted on Facebook that Offerman stopped by before his show at the Orpheum Theater. You might know him best from his role as Ron Swanson, a Parks Department director on the sitcom Parks and Recreation. Very cool. Well, it is 6:47, and life without the possibility of parole. It's a sentence that has become a reality for a growing number of teenagers nationwide. Next, we'll introduce you to one man who is on a mission to change that. Thanks for watching News 3 Now This Morning, Sunday. Welcome back. Mass incarcerations have been a topic of conversation across the country. In Philadelphia, 1 in 22 adults are under county criminal supervision. And the state of Pennsylvania has sentenced more juveniles to life without the possibility of parole than any other state. Jerica Duncan looks into how one attorney is looking to turn those numbers around.
I spent 27 years and 11 months in prison.
I did 21 years, 5 months, 5 days.
I spent approximately 24 years in prison.
Before the night was over, I was being charged with murder.
Chester Holman,
I was a juvenile lifer.
Terrence Lewis,
I initially turned myself into.
and Johnny Berry have always maintained their innocence. And now the court system agrees, overturning their convictions for second-degree murder, robbery, and conspiracy. All of them now in their 40s have been exonerated.
Physically, I'm free, but there's just a lot of emotional things that I'm dealing with. I'm trying to find myself.
In July, a judge freed Chester Holman after prosecutors reopened his case and proved he was innocent of the 1993 murder for which he was serving life in prison. Authorities always had evidence that pointed to other suspects, but that evidence was not disclosed at the time of his conviction.
Each day I've gotten stronger and I'm better.
Johnny, what has this been like for you?
Well, today marks the 1-year anniversary of me being home.
Wow.
I'm still learning how to be free, to be honest with you. It's a learning process.
Personally, I haven't been home not even 90 days. Although I've been happy and I'm grateful, it's definitely been difficult. I have been enslaved mentally as well as physically. I'm still traumatized. This fell upon us. They uprooted our life. When I say they, meaning the system as a whole.
We really have to do it with statistics.
Philadelphia's District Attorney Larry Krasner wants to correct those wrongs.
The oath is to seek justice. When somebody sits in a jail cell for a crime they did not commit, that is an injustice.
The former public defender assumed the top prosecutor job in 2018.
Okay, you guys are looking for 11 new?
One of his first missions, beef up the Conviction Integrity Unit to investigate legitimate claims of wrongful convictions.
There was a culture at various times of win at all costs. And if that meant that you were going to take the document that suggested there was a different suspect, a document that the Constitution requires you as a prosecutor to turn over to the defense, and you were going to shred it, you did. And then there was a separate issue with certain detectives. And everybody who was in the system knew about it.
In his first week in office, he fired 31 employees.
I did not enjoy it, but it was necessary to do, especially as I see these exonerations happen, and guess whose names just keep coming up for having been involved in convictions of innocent people.
The people you let go.
Yep, that story will be developing. Stay tuned.
What do you say about those ex-prosecutors who still believe that the people who've been exonerated are guilty?
I don't think this is the realm of belief. I think we should be working with facts. The system will always make mistakes, but the kind of prosecutor who is willing to do these things that are illegal and unconstitutional in order to have a win is the kind of prosecutor who's going to say to you, I still believe they're guilty, because they're covering their own tracks.
The straight shooter also says he's determined not to waste court time, jail space, or tax dollars on prosecuting low-level offenses like marijuana possession or petty theft. But when it comes to those issues, Krasner's critics say he's releasing criminals that are likely to commit another crime. For judges who think or have said you've gone rogue and that you're a group of renegades, how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, I have huge respect for the judiciary. There's a small portion among them who I think take this personally. When we say what we say, and we're very direct about it, that these policies and the people who were in the DA's office caused mass incarceration.
As for the Conviction Integrity Unit, it's reviewed about 200 cases since Krasner took office.
Conviction integrity is a particularly sticky situation because you are looking back on things that happened in the past, and sometimes you're asking the same judge who has already said no to overturning this conviction to turn it over now based upon additional information.
80-some days ago, I was condemned to die in jail. That was my reality.
Johnny, you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. There are people still remain behind the walls that are actually innocent. When you're innocent and you run across another individual that's innocent,
your soul connects.
It's a connection. These are my brothers here, and I still got brothers that remain behind the wall, and that hurts.
Powerful stuff. Well, there is still a full hour of news ahead on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Next, we're running through the day's top stories. But first, here is a preview of what's to come on an all-new For the Record.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Neil Heinen. Today on For the Record, we'll be talking about the life of the late Ed Garvey, the Burlington, Wisconsin-born former NFL player rep, candidate for U.S. Senate and governor of Wisconsin, lawyer, activist, political gadfly, and that doesn't come close to covering it. There's a new book out that offers fascinating insights into the man from the man himself, captured by writer and former Cap Times journalist Rob Zaleski. My conversation with Zaleski comes up this morning at 10:30 on News 3 Now.
Well, right now, you've probably seen ads on TV for the new 5G cell service. This morning, we're learning what it is and how it'll affect your life and when it's coming to Madison.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's September 15th. I'm Keely Arthur. We'll get a check on weather with Hattie in just a second. But first, here are 3 things to know as you get your day started. The Trump administration is expected to announce its proposal to curb gun violence as soon as this week. After a meeting with his top advisors, the president said he's working with both parties on a gun control proposal. After a pair of mass shootings last month, the president announced his support of background checks too, but in the weeks since, he said the country already has very serious background checks and called mass shootings a mental health issue. Looking ahead, this Thursday marks 1 year since a workplace shooting here in Middleton at Paradigm, and now the software company is giving back to first responders. The company posted on Facebook they donated almost $19,000 to local firefighters. They also donated $18,500 to EMS crews. Last September, an employee opened fire inside Paradigm. First responders saved the lives of 3 people who were seriously injured. Well, this is your reminder to head to the grocery store tomorrow for a chance to try out a new cookie flavor and earn some cash. Nabisco is releasing limited edition Oreos that look like the original but taste completely different. Each package will have 1 of 3 clues. You have a chance to win $50,000 if you guess the correct flavor. Now, Nabisco did this once before. The mystery flavor back in 2017 was Fruity Pebbles cereal. And switching to weather now, Hattie in with a gorgeous forecast. Hi, Hattie.
Good morning, Keely. Yeah, things are quieting down in the weather department. The rain overnight coming to an end. Skies are actually clearing a little bit here in Madison, so a little bit of sunshine early on. Here's a look at the radar map, and again, just a few light showers lingering mainly east of Madison. All the flood watches have been canceled for southern Wisconsin. Temperatures this morning are mild, 66 in Madison, 68 in Lone Rock, 67 in Prairie du Chien. To the east, mid-60s as well, 64 in Watertown and Juneau. Now, as you step out the door this morning, you're looking at very cloudy skies. There's just an isolated chance for a shower this afternoon, but a warm and humid day. Take a look at these temperatures, climbing to highs in the upper 70s this afternoon. Pretty warm and humid conditions as well. Now let's get a look at those traffic maps this morning across southern Wisconsin. Here in and around Dane County, things still looking pretty good across the region. No major delays to tell you about just yet. I did look around the area. There aren't any accidents to report, which is great news. Looks like travel times still normal for this time of the morning. And that's your first alert traffic.
Thank you, Hattie. A 6-week project to resurface County Highway M between Verona and Oregon starts tomorrow, with driving restricted to local traffic until late next month. The stretch between Fish Hatchery Road and County Highway MM in Oregon will close Monday, open only to local traffic. Through traffic needs to take alternate routes like Verona Road or the Beltline. Area businesses will still be open, so if you have to reach one, you should give yourself extra time and drive carefully. Because of the Willie Street Fair this weekend, there are several road closures you should know about. 3 blocks of Willie Street will be closed between South Livingston and South Ingersoll Streets. That goes until 10 o'clock Sunday night. The 300 blocks of South Patterson and South Brierley Streets will also be closed at those times. And because of the parade today, more streets will be closed between 11 a.m. and noon. You're taking a look at some of those stretches up on your screen right now. We'll also be putting up this information over on channel3000.com. Now to more local news. You may have heard about 5G cell service. It simply means the 5th generation of cell phone technology, and it's coming to Madison eventually. But how does it work and how will it impact our lives? We sent our Mark Kane to get those questions answered.
5G, the 5th generation of cell service, promises speeds of up to 100 times faster than the current 4G service.
With 5G, what we're supposed to be able to do, the specification by the Internet Telecommunications Union.
There is one.
There is one. They say a minimum of 1 million devices per square kilometer.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so I went and looked it up. Madison, about 1,100 people per square kilometer. So like between you and me, that's 2,000 devices each.
All 4 major U.S. carriers have some sort of 5G service, but it's only in a few cities and only in a few neighborhoods. Verizon has spotty service in Chicago and Minneapolis, and that's partly because 5G requires its own cell antennas. Wireless companies in the U.S. say they'll need to install 300,000 new antennas for the rollout of 5G. An antenna every couple of blocks, like this experimental one at Westtown Mall in Madison. That's going to be a challenge for cities.
When it comes to public land and public right-of-way, they're going to have to work with the city. So that could mean poles, light poles, city buildings, anything that might be public infrastructure in the public right-of-way. Typically, that's where they will be located.
The companies have to get permits before any antennas can be installed, and that process is pretty strict in Madison.
The guidelines are in place for a reason. from FCC regulation, for health concerns, for public right-of-way and public infrastructure standpoint. Those are all in place to try to protect that.
So once everything's in place, then what? First, you'll need one of the few pricey 5G compatible phones, like the $1,300 Samsung S10 5G. And how fast is 5G? Well, one of the biggest challenges in testing the signal is finding it in the first place. But once you do, it's pretty darn fast.
It's going to be really nice at first, then it's going to get pretty crowded. Then we're going to find out they'll have to solve this problem where we can't get through walls.
Yeah, it's a little inconvenient to have to be outside to use your phone. Yes, you heard right. Cell companies are now focused on speed. They're using something called the millimeter wave. It's the fastest and most responsive form of 5G, but it doesn't travel very far.
The minimum speed you should expect as a user would only be double what you get right about now.
It's pretty fast now.
It's reasonably fast. People seem to want to be able to download an entire movie in 10 seconds. I don't know who can watch them that fast, right? But the argument that always comes up is, oh dear, I really have to get on a plane. Quick, I have 10 seconds. Get me the nearest movie.
So in order for 5G to be more reliable, companies will use mid and low band frequencies. It won't be as fast, but it'll work both outdoors and inside buildings.
So round trip time from my device to its destination and back in a millisecond? It takes you about 100 milliseconds to blink. So this would be the stuff that's ultra reliable and low latency. It's gonna be more robust. We're gonna have to have more of these antennas around. If we end up in this high spectrum, we're gonna need more of it.
The FCC is trying to free up more frequencies.
We're gonna have to allocate more space in those lower bands, preferably in the low bands, because then you can go up to Hayward and have your movie in 10 seconds.
Faster phones are just an incidental benefit of 5G. Without it, there'd be no self-driving cars or robotic surgeries.
They're talking about the traffic lights being online. They're talking about flood detection being online, flood sensors. When we start to automate all of these things and we automate all these sensors and then the things that go and address the sensors, you get a smarter city.
5G right now is a work in progress. The 4 major carriers promise nationwide coverage by the end of next year. And when will we see it in Madison? Stay tuned.
Well, once 5G service eventually makes it here, don't worry, your current 4G phone will work just fine. The Packers kick off at Lambeau this afternoon for the first time this season. Zadarius Smith told the NFL Network that he and Preston Smith want to start a new tradition when the other team is on the 3rd down. It's something the players did together as a team, and it'll be shown up on the video board. So if you're heading to the game, be sure to check that out. If not, you'll have plenty more chances to see that because the Packers play 5 of their first 7 at home. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers said he wishes the home-heavy schedule had come at the end of the season when opposing teams deal with the freezing cold, but they'll take the home advantage where they can get it.
We're going to have to get these early in the season to set ourselves up for some of those tough road stretches down, in the back half of the season. We got a great team coming in, and it's going to be important for us to start fast, get the home field advantage going, let our defense, get going and rush the passer, and that starts with us doing our job on offense.
Meanwhile, the Brewers are now just 1 game behind the Cubs in the race for the wild card after a big win overnight. The team came out swinging in the 4th. Mike Moustakas hit a big one off Jack Flaherty, bringing Trent Grisham home with him to tie the game. Fast forward to the 8th, the Brewers are up 1, and Yasmani Grandal adds a little bit of breathing room, making it 5-2 Brewers. That will be the final. First pitch today is at 1:15. Well, the Badgers are coming off a bye week, but so far this fall, the team has been playing some pretty disciplined football. Through the first 2 games of the season, Wisconsin is 8th in the country when it comes to the fewest penalties, with just 5 of them. So that'll be part of the game plan when it comes to hosting Michigan in 7 days. The Wolverines also have a bye week this week, so they'll be plenty focused and ready too. Kickoff for that game is set at 11 a.m. Right now it is 7:10 and you're taking a live look outside. Hattie is back with your full First Alert forecast just ahead.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. The rain has come to an end, but boy, it's muggy outside. Feels downright tropical this morning across southern Wisconsin. Here's a look at how much rain we picked up overnight. Not a lot here in Madison, but just enough to get the pavement wet. South and west of Madison, though, that's where the heaviest rain fell overnight. A pretty heavy band of 2 to 3 inches overnight for Grant and Lafayette counties. They were the hardest hit. Now, all the flood watches, though, have been canceled as the rain has come to an end. Just a few widely scattered showers lingering across southern Wisconsin. If we zoom the map out, though, you can see that things are pretty quiet for most of the state. Now, if you're traveling to Green Bay today for the Packer game, here's a look at your forecast. You're going to look for a lot of clouds in Green Bay today. Temperatures, though, will be pretty comfortable in the mid-70s. It's likely to be on the humid side, though, so be prepared for some sticky conditions. Now, just like here in southern Wisconsin, there's an isolated shower threat this afternoon in Green Bay as well. Here's our storm system as it tracks across the state. Again, we keep that slight chance for a shower in the forecast for the afternoon, but overall just pretty warm and humid conditions. Now, when we look at the country as a whole, there is a tropical storm. It's Umberto in the Atlantic. It doesn't really pose a threat to land, but it is large enough to sort of slow things down across the country, slow the track of storms. It's actually good news for us, though. It keeps us in a pretty quiet weather pattern for the start of the week. So with that storm churning in the Atlantic, not a lot of movement east to west across the country with the main weather pattern. For us, that means sunshine and warm temperatures. This morning, we're starting out on a mild note. We're in the mid-60s right now. Des Moines and Omaha are still in the low 70s this morning. Dew points are manageable right now, but it's just going to get more humid as we go through the day, with dew points climbing into the upper 60s. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. Again, some clearing early this morning, but expect some clouds to fill back in as we head towards the afternoon. There is a chance, there it is, for a few showers as we head through the afternoon hours. High temps, though, in the upper 70s. Clearing taking place tonight, but look for some fog to develop during the overnight hours, especially in those spots that were hit hardest by rain last night. So a foggy start to Monday morning, but otherwise, temperatures are going to climb into the low 80s with humid conditions as we start this work week. So Keeley looking very summer-like as we head through the week.
It's nice to hear you say Wisconsin weather in September is feeling tropical-like. Music to my ears.
I know, not necessarily what we typically see. If you're looking for the lower humidities, you have to wait just about a week.
All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Well, we've been asking you to share your morning with us, and this is a gorgeous photo sent in by Christian. This is of Devil's Lake. What does your morning look like? You can take a picture and post it on the Channel 3000 Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We'll share our favorites right here on News 3 This Morning Sunday. If you're looking for a place to celebrate your German heritage and enjoy a brew in the meantime, look no further than right here in Madison. Wallet Hub released its list of the best places for Oktoberfest, and this year our city is on the list. We are at number 25 out of 100. The ranking was based on German populations, most German restaurants, and most breweries. New York came in first. It is 7:17, and now that your kids are back in school, it's time to get back to you. Registered dietitian Tammy Schultz is back to talk about easy ways parents can get their health back on track. We'll chat with her next on News 3 Now This Morning Sunday.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Take a look at this shot. Sun is up this morning. Skies are partly cloudy. The rain has come to an end this morning for southern Wisconsin. Here's a look at the radar map. Again, most of the shower activity has shifted out of the area to the south. There are still a few showers up in between Fond du Lac and Sheboygan this morning. Can't rule out a shower or two this afternoon, but the rest of the day mainly staying dry. 66 right now in Madison and Janesville, 67 in Prairie du Chien. To the north, it's 63 in Juneau. Metro Futurecast has variably cloudy skies this morning. Temperatures will climb back into the mid-70s by noon. For the afternoon, pretty humid conditions. Again, that slight chance for a shower with a high of 78 degrees. Our extended forecast into tonight, look for areas of fog to develop with lows dropping to 63. And then for tomorrow, we're into the 80s. In fact, we'll stay in the 80s through Wednesday with mainly dry weather. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Hattie. Well, 2 weeks into a new school year, kids are finally getting back into the swing of things. So now it's time for parents to find their own meal plans. Registered dietitian Tammy Schiltz is back sharing some tips on how to get back to you, making yourself a priority once again. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning.
And you were saying that it's really important for parents to kind of take a step back and do some planning before they take this deep dive into a better diet.
Right. I actually want to be able to give parents some homework.
Okay.
Kind of shift it a little bit because I want them to have this plan, not just a plan, but a vision. And so I really want to start with that and have them kind of create what that healthy life looks like for them, but also their family. So I want them to, get out a pen and paper, write down my ideal healthy life, and then start to paint that picture of what not only looks like, but what it feels like. And I think that's the more important thing because really like our thoughts become things. So I want them to, envision themselves grocery shopping and what that's like, to have all these healthy foods in their cart now that they're craving them and their kids are liking them too. And again, this is like your ideal world,
like
right?
a vision board for your diet. I love it.
Yeah, in a sense. And really, going further with exercise, like now that you love physical activity, and you have energy to do it, what does that look like? What does it feel like? And I think once you start to cast that vision, you're gonna get a lot more positive energy towards your goals and what you wanna do. But so often we get lost in here's my meal plan, here's my workout plan, and then we get there and now what? And it doesn't factor in real life. Yeah. And so I think if you actually allowed yourself the time to just sit down when your kids are doing their homework, maybe you do yours, and write that out, kind of map it out what this would look like for you and your family and how it would feel now that you have energy to play with your kids, all that kind of stuff. And so it really starts there is before the meal plans, before the workouts, cast that vision.
So changing the mindset, kind of writing down how you want to see you and your family. What are some good kind of next steps? Like how do you bridge the gap from that mindset switch to actually shopping in the grocery store to exercising?
Right. And it really is, when you're doing this, you're kind of creating your map. And the more detailed you get, you're putting in your destination into your GPS basically. And so when you're writing out this plan, you're now giving yourself the directions on how you want to get there. So when you're starting to think about those meal plans and you've thought about the foods that you want to eat, your family wants to eat, you can start going out and searching for that stuff and creating that master plan before you go to the grocery store. But again, envisioning, you don't want it to be stressful. So envision it being that way. Like this is stress-free, or my family's eating these foods again. I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, but trust me, the people that have this.
What have you seen from people who've started this? Because this is something that you don't think of. We think of like diet and exercise as like, all right, like calories in, calories out. So what are your clients kind of saying?
Right, and that's so spot on is because we think of diet and exercise and we forget that the mind piece is such a huge part of that. And really what I tell people is you get, what you focus on, you find. And so if you're focusing on like feeling your best, those other parts, the diet and exercise, are going to come along with that. But too often people just get lost in those types of things. And so I think it's really important for them to really focus on that mindset and get really clear on what it is that they want and how they want to feel. And from there, things just get easier. So the mind piece, that is a really important part of the puzzle. It should not be forgotten.
Sounds like the very first step. Thank you so much. I love it.
Thank you.
Tammy, we really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us. And remember, there is still a half hour of news ahead on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Next, we are running through the morning's top stories. And only a select few people had the chance to see a new musical in Madison this weekend. But if you missed it, our Michael Bruno will fill you in. He heads backstage to Comet Boy to talk with the show's writer. We'll have that just ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's September 15th. I'm Keely Arthur. We'll get a check on weather with Hattie in just a second. But first, here are 3 things to know as you start your day. First, it is game day. The Packers open the Lambeau schedule at noon against the Vikings. They play 5 of their first 7 at home. Last year in week 2, poor kicking led to a tie in overtime. But this year, the Packers are coming into the game healthy and ready to play. You can catch the game on Fox and be sure to flip back over to News 3 Now for highlights tonight at 10. A 6-week project to resurface County Highway M between Verona and Oregon starts tomorrow with driving restricted to local traffic until late next month. The stretch between Fitch Hatchery Road and County Highway MM in Oregon will close Monday, open only to local traffic. Through traffic needs to take alternate local routes like Verona Road or the Beltline. Area businesses will still be open, so if you have to reach one, just give yourself some extra time and drive carefully. And because of the Willie Street Fair this weekend, there are several road closures you should know about. 3 blocks of Willie Street will be closed between South Livingston and South Ingersoll Streets. That goes until 10 o'clock Sunday night. The 300 blocks of South Patterson and South Brierley Streets will also be closed at those times. Because of a parade today, more streets will be closed between 11 and noon. You're taking a look at some of those stretches right now. We also have that information up on our website, channel3000.com. And joining us now with a look at the weather, we are in for a treat. Hattie is here this weekend. Hi, Hattie.
Good morning, Keely. Yeah, the weather forecast looking pretty nice today. The rain overnight has come to an end. You're taking a live look from the Edgewater Sky Cam out over downtown Madison. Notice some sunshine in that shot, so skies are already clearing a little bit. Take a look at Doppler track, and that will show you that the rain really moving out of the area early this morning. Just a few light showers lingering to the south and west. A little bit of activity getting ready to move out over Lake Michigan to our north and east. Now, we can't rule out an isolated shower popping up this afternoon, but overall just warm and humid conditions, especially for mid-September. We're topping at 78 degrees this afternoon. Winds will be from the southwest around 8 to 15 miles per hour, but again, humidity levels will be high. Here's a look at your First Alert traffic maps this morning. No major issues on the Beltline or on the interstate here in Dane County. We'll zoom the map out and you can see that all travel into Madison and out of Madison going at posted speeds. And that's your First Alert traffic.
All right, thank you, Hattie. Well, new this morning, the Trump administration is expected to announce its proposal to curb gun violence as soon as this week. But after the Democrats' fiery debate on gun control, what the president will actually support is far from clear. After a meeting with his top advisors, the president said he's working with both parties on a gun control proposal, but that something is still elusive. The White House has been talking to a trio of lawmakers, Democrats Chris Murphy and Joe Manchin and Republican Pat Toomey. They all support tougher background checks.
I took it about meaningful. Add that word, meaningful background check.
But the president never defined what meaningful means and quickly backed off after talking to the National Rifle Association. In the weeks since, he said the country already has serious background checks and called mass shootings a mental health issue. He criticized what he sees as overeager Democrats.
Democrats want to confiscate guns from law-abiding Americans, so they're totally defenseless when somebody walks into their house with a gun.
Going into next week, Democrats remain concerned that presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke's stance that all assault weapons should be taken away could be problematic in their push for gun reform. Political analysts say the president wants to be seen as taking some action on gun control because the majority of Americans support it, but they say his base is not as supportive and the president does not want to anger it going into an election year. This weekend, President Trump confirmed Osama bin Laden's son is dead. He issued a statement saying Hamza bin Laden was killed in a U.S. counterterrorism operation. President Trump didn't specify exactly when or where, saying only it happened in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region. Some analysts are raising questions on the presumed death, pointing out Al-Qaeda has not released a eulogy on it. Bin Laden was thought to be an emerging leader in the terror group. Well, more than 338,000 Ford Explorers are being recalled because the seats have sharp edges. Ford Motor Company says people could be hurt by reaching between the front seat and the center console. 31 people have been injured so far. The recall applies to 2017 Ford Explorers made in Chicago between February 2016 and October of 2017. Anyone who owns one of these models is advised to take it to their dealer for some repairs. And the clock is ticking for General Motors to reach a labor agreement with workers before they go on strike. Negotiators only have until midnight tonight to iron out a deal before a 4-year-old contract expires. Earlier this month, 96% of GM's workers voted to authorize a strike if a new contract isn't reached. The union wants automakers to share some of their profits with workers. And more local news now. This Thursday marks 1 year since a workplace shooting at Paradigm in Middleton. And now the software company is giving back to first responders. The company posted on Facebook that they've donated almost $19,000 to local firefighters for new equipment. They also donated $18,500 to EMS crews. Last September, an employee opened fire inside the Paradigm offices. First responders saved the lives of 3 people who were seriously injured. Domestic Abuse Intervention Services, known as DAYS, is warning Madison residents about scammers outside of grocery stores. Officials say residents have reported individuals and pairs of people posing as abuse victims and asking for money to pay for counseling. They've been spotted outside Willie Street Co-op, Festival of Foods, and Woodman's. Now, Day's executive director Shannon Berry says the nonprofit services are always free and confidential. More local news now. If you missed this weekend's one night only showing of Comet Boy, a musical, you won't want to miss out on this story. It's a personal tale for songwriter Jackie Bradley, and it sheds light on a very serious topic. Our Michael Bruno headed backstage to find out what made this play so special.
Who'd have thought you'd have a job? Who'd have thought you'd have a car? Who'd have thought that you'd be married and have 7 kids so fun?
The story is about my journey with a very good friend who suffered bipolar disorder and depression.
It's about two friends, and the first friend meets the other through happenstance. She wants to make her own music and record her own CDs, and so she goes out and seeks a producer.
His name's Jay Leckler, and they struck up a friendship through working together, and their friendship continued to blossom, and they had all sorts of adventures around the city of Madison.
Did you write it recently or late at night after some crazy outing? It's not written exactly like a play where there is some dialogue in it, but mostly it's monologue. And like you say, it's stream of consciousness. He titled the album, All the Lights Are Green Except the One I'm At. And that one's red. An epically long title, but one offering an insight into Comet Boy's complexity.
Let us go out for a swim. The door is open, hop right in. All the lights are green except the one I'm at, and that one's red.
And they kind of go on their own journey together, as you do in life, and then unfortunately the journey stops, as sometimes friendships do, but only because life went transcending to another place.
That ended, unfortunately, in the suicide of the young man. But the relationship itself is part of the story. It's that whole story of his life and their life together, and then her life after.
I believe it was about a year after his death that I was still struggling to make sense of it, and so I managed to write a CD called Comet Boy, and never really expected it to go further than that. And then it's just been simmering ever since, and this is the year for Comet Boy to streak into our city.
It is 7:38, and get your stomachs ready. A new restaurant in Madison is now open near Capitol Square. And this morning, not only are we getting a first look at it, but a first taste. We're talking grilled cheese and great drinks. I am excited. That is all ahead on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Well, welcome back. The new casual restaurant near the Capitol Square has something for everyone, from a big breakfast buffet to burgers, sandwiches, and a variety of drinks. Audrey Kitchen is drawing crowds just a few weeks into its service. This morning, we have with us Chef Jeff Orr and Matthew Angelucci here to talk about this. So we're starting with a Wisconsin classic, grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese.
Yes.
So we have a 3-cheese grilled cheese. We decided to work the 3rd cheese in on the outside of the sandwich. So I'm going to just show you how we put it together. I've got one cooking right here. So we put plenty of butter on the outside. And on the inside, we're going to put some Butterkäse from Edelweiss Creamery, a little bit of Gruyere from Emmy Roth down in Monroe. So, and I've got one cooking over here through the miracle of television.
Yes. And so is that kind of one of the goals here, is to incorporate a lot of like local, vendors and flavors?
Local flavors, Wisconsin products, but also comfortable classics with our own little twist on it.
Okay.
So, and the sandwich goes together just like that.
And so as far as, is that kind of the standard fare? Is it grilled cheeses? Like, what are some of the foods that people can expect?
We have a lot of shareable items, a lot of things that people can sit down and enjoy together. Lamb meatballs, of course, Wisconsin fried cheese curds. Some of Chef's specialties on our After 5 menu, of course, some of his larger entrees.
Oh, yum. Okay, and where are you guys located?
We are in the Hilton Madison Monona Terrace property.
Great. And so you've been open for just a few weeks. How are things going so far?
Things are going great. We've got a lot of excitement throughout, the whole day.
Yes.
Being in a hotel, we operate, for a long period of time from the morning through night, and we're getting a lot of excitement for our breakfast, our lunch, but also we were getting a lot of guests joining us in the evening with our remodeling. They're congregating at the bar and enjoying some of the shareable plates that Matthew just mentioned.
Yes, I'm sure everyone's excited. I mean, there's so many amazing restaurants in that area, but I think people always get really excited when there's something new. And obviously cocktails are a really big kind of thing going on right now. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at 2 of our specialty cocktails. Our restaurant was named for Audrey Munson. She's the person who posed for the statue on top of our Capitol building.
Oh, okay.
So she has
Love
a lot
it.
of nicknames that kind of lend themselves to cocktail drinks, one of them being the American Venus, which is right here. Venus being the goddess of love, I kind of built this drink with a rose-flavored vodka and house-infused rose water simple syrup.
Okay.
This right here is our Muse. That's made with Milagro silver, some ouzo, and topped with sage.
It's
Those are just a
beautiful.
couple of our specialty
I'm sure they're
cocktails.
delicious. And then we're gonna wrap this up, but just want to get a close look at that amazing grilled cheese. I've never seen grilled cheese on the outside of a grilled cheese. I love it. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna have to stop by, and we really appreciate you stopping by here.
Please do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it is 7:45, and you're taking a live look over the Capitol. Hattie will be back with another check of your weather. But first, if you have a kiddo turning 3 today, please let us know, and you can send their picture in, and we will help them celebrate on our air.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. The rain has come to an end, but here's how much accumulated overnight. Not a whole lot here in Madison. Rain totals ramped up quickly with a band of heavier rain setting up from just south of Prairie du Chien down into Lafayette County. So Platteville getting some pretty heavy rains. Now all the flash flood watches have been canceled, but keep in mind there are aerial flood warnings due to possible rises on local rivers and streams that may cause some problems in Grant County this morning. But for us, for the rest of the area, things quieting down pretty nicely. We actually have some sunshine here in southern Wisconsin early this morning. You can see that all the rain has shifted to the south into northern Illinois. Now there is a chance for a few showers to pop up as we head towards the afternoon, but nothing like what we had overnight. Here's a look at Weather Track, and you can see that clouds are pretty extensive for the Northwoods. So if you're heading to Green Bay, look for mostly cloudy skies during the Packer game today. Temperatures will top in the mid-70s there. We'll be just a little bit warmer here in southern Wisconsin. Temperatures currently are in the 60s for the southern half of the state, 69 in La Crosse, 68 in Milwaukee. Green Bay is at 62. North of Marshfield, though, temperatures are in the 50s this morning. Dew points for our part of the state are in the 60s, so it feels pretty muggy outside this morning, and those dew points, unfortunately, are going to climb through the day. We're headed back to dew points in the upper 60s. That means it's going to be pretty sticky this afternoon. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. And again, the rain pulling out early this morning. That's the good news. South winds today. Quite a few clouds may build back into the area, though, as we head towards the mid-morning and early afternoon hours. There's that slight chance for a shower or two this afternoon. High temperatures, though, will still be in the upper 70s here in Madison. Maybe a little bit closer to 80 in the southwest corner of the state. Clearing skies as we head into the overnight hours. Temperatures will drop back into the 60s, but with all that moisture after the rain last night, look for some fog to develop across southern Wisconsin. Maybe a pretty foggy start for your Monday morning commute. For the start of the work week, though, it's definitely summer-like. We are closing in, well, we're in mid-September right now. Temperatures would normally be in the low to mid-70s. We're above that a bit this week with highs in the upper 70s and low 80s. Great day for a walk today. A little sticky, but Kilo and Madison should be a great day. 78 degrees with partly sunny skies this afternoon.
Wow. I mean, I am like a summer girl, so this is music to my ears. Maybe some people kind of wanting to get to the fall, but...
That's true. There'll be time for that. We got a late start to summer, so it's kind of nice to see it lasting a little bit longer.
That is a good reminder. We did have a very late start. I forgot about that. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Well, there is more news ahead all day long here on News 3 Now. And then tomorrow morning, we're tracking the latest on rising water levels across south central Wisconsin and what local officials are doing to keep you safe and dry. But first, new clothes for new careers. Inside Meghan Markle's highly anticipated clothing line, helping women in a variety of ways. That is next on News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Well, welcome back. Finally, this morning, Meghan Markle is back to work 4 months after giving birth to son Archie. The Duchess of Sussex, that is hard to say, launched her much anticipated charity clothing line this weekend with help from a lot of women to help find job appropriate attire and employment opportunities. London correspondent Roxana Saberi brings us Meghan's dress for success.
Hi, everyone.
Pairing her love of fashion with her passion for empowering women.
As women, it is 100% our responsibility, I think, to support and uplift each other.
The Duchess of Sussex revealed a charity clothing collection. 5 items ranging from around $30 to $250. For every item sold, an identical one will be donated to SmartWorks.
It's not just hand-me-downs.
A British charity giving unemployed women training and clothing to boost their confidence. As a royal patron, Meghan visited many times, helping women like Dion Johnson prepare for a job interview.
I went for a dressing session and she was there. She got stuck right in, like what they said, you know, rolled up her sleeve. She was still heavily pregnant at the time, and she picked out a couple of bits for me. And it was really nice for her to say, you know, how good it looked, and, you know, it felt empowering.
Dion got the job, but the Duchess said the closet wasn't fit for everyone. So she helped design these basic pieces. In the past, the Meghan effect has skyrocketed sales of her clothing. And this collection is on the same track.
Can you believe there are
Roxana Saberi, London.
Very cool. Are you a royal fan at all?
I am. I like to pay attention to what they're doing.
It is fun, and they do some good things for the community. So,
They
yeah.
definitely do.
So,
the forecast for us. I know we're not talking about London.
Yes.
Feel a little tropical here. If you are heading out fishing, I know the smelt run ended in the spring, but great day for fishing today, or whatever you want to do outside. Looks like the rain is coming to an end this morning. Skies are already clearing. Look for some sunshine today with highs in the upper 70s. Can't rule out an isolated shower this afternoon, but if you're not a fan of the humidity, you're probably not going to like the forecast. Even heading into this week, it stays humid through Wednesday.
All right, Hattie, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend, everybody.